The quest for longevity has shifted from the pharmacy to the farm. Below is a definitive ranking of the 20 best to worst longevity plants based on their ability to target these hallmarks of aging, activate youth genes like sirtuins, and protect your cellular blueprint. 1. Astragalus, the telomere guardian. Why number 1? The most potent plant for DNA protection, containing TAT2 to help activate telomerase. The power: telomeres are protective caps on your DNA that shorten as you age. Astragalus maintains these caps, extending the replicative life of your cells. The edge: a powerful adaptogen that shields the heart and immune system from the erosion caused by chronic stress. 2. Turmeric, the master signaling switch. Why number 2? Curcumin is a pleiotropic molecule that hits almost every major aging pathway simultaneously. The power: it activates the longevity gene SGRT1 and inhibits NF-κB, the primary trigger for systemic inflammation. The edge: the ultimate defense against inflammaging, the chronic inflammation driving heart disease and cognitive decline. 3. Green tea, the autophagy trigger. Why number 3? Contains EGCG, a polyphenol acting as a cellular janitor to clean metabolic waste. The power: triggers autophagy, where cells recycle their own damaged components, preventing the junk protein buildup associated with neurological decline. The edge: linked to longer telomeres and a significantly lower biological age compared to non-drinkers. 4. Ashwagandha, the cortisol shield. Why number 4? The premier herb for reversing stress-induced aging by keeping the body in a state of repair. The power: slashing cortisol by up to 30% prevents the weathering effect stress hormones have on the brain and skin. The edge: clinical trials show it can increase telomerase activity by nearly 45%, making it a dual threat for longevity. 5. Pomegranate, the mitophagy expert. Why number 5? The only natural source of urolithin A precursors, which reboot cellular power plants. The power: triggers mitophagy, the selective clearing of dysfunctional mitochondria, ensuring cells have the energy to repair DNA. The edge: acts like a battery refresh for muscles and the heart, keeping them structurally younger. 6. Gotu kola, the brain architect. Why number 6? Known as the herb of longevity, it focuses on neuroregeneration and venous health. The power: increases brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, which acts like Miracle-Gro for brain cells to keep memory sharp. The edge: simultaneously boosts type 1 collagen, keeping skin and blood vessels resilient. 7. Rhodiola rosea, the cellular energizer. Why number 7? A high-altitude adaptogen that prevents cellular fatigue and oxidative burnout. The power: enhances ADP, energy, production efficiency. Laboratory models suggest it can extend lifespan by up to 20%. The edge: protects the heart from catecholamine damage caused by sudden spikes in adrenaline. 8. Blueberries, the anthocyanin shield. Why number 8? The most accessible brain food, packed with pigments that cross the blood-brain barrier. The power: anthocyanins neutralize free radicals in the brain and improve signaling. The edge: effectively lowers vascular age, keeping the body's delivery system clear and flexible. 9. Broccoli, the sulforaphane engine. Why number 9? Activates the NRF2 pathway, the body's most powerful internal antioxidant defense system. The power: helps the body detoxify carcinogens and switches on over 200 genes that protect against oxidative stress. The edge: the best plant for preventing the metabolic aging caused by environmental toxins. 10. Garlic, the vascular guard. Why number 10? A cardiovascular powerhouse focusing on the biological age of your arteries. The power: produces hydrogen sulfide, a signaling gas that relaxes blood vessels and reduces age-related stiffness. The edge: effectively lowers vascular age, keeping the body's delivery system clear and flexible. 11. Resveratrol, the grape molecule. Why number 11? Famous for being the red wine molecule, it mimics the longevity effects of calorie restriction. The power: it directly activates sirtuins, the proteins responsible for DNA repair. The edge: ranked here because while powerful, it has poor bioavailability in humans when taken through food alone. It often requires concentrated supplementation. 12. Ginkgo biloba, the circulation keeper. Why number 12? One of the world's oldest living tree species, it focuses on the micropipes of the body. The power, it improves blood flow to the smallest capillaries in the eyes, ears, and brain. The edge, excellent for preventing age-related hearing and vision loss, though it doesn't target zombie cells as effectively as the top tier. 13. Holy basil, tulsi, the metabolic balancer. Why number 13? A sacred herb that regulates blood sugar and prevents glycation. The power, glycation is when sugar caramelizes your proteins, leading to stiff skin and damaged organs. Tulsi keeps your metabolic fire burning clean. The edge, great for long-term blood sugar stability, but less transformative for DNA than Astragalus. 14. Rosemary, the glycation guard. Why number 14? Contains carnosic acid, which protects the brain from neurodegeneration and the skin from UV aging. The power, it inhibits the formation of advanced glycation end products, AGEs, which are primary drivers of aging. The edge, highly effective as a culinary addition, but limited in its systemic reversing power. 15. Ginger, the gut-brain axis link. Why number 15? Focuses on digestive longevity and systemic clearing. The power, it clears inflammatory debris from the gut, which is now recognized as a major source of systemic aging, the gut aging theory. The edge, vital for overall health, though its direct impact on telomeres is less documented than the top 5. 16. Amla, Indian gooseberry. Why number 16? A vitamin C powerhouse that prevents the rusting of our cells. The power, it has an incredibly high ORAC, antioxidant, score, protecting against the oxidative hits our DNA takes every day. The edge, ranked lower only because its primary role is defense rather than the remodeling seen in sea buckthorn or pomegranate. 17. Sea buckthorn, the rare lipid provider. Why number 17? Provides the rare omega-7 fatty acid, which maintains the health of mucous membranes and skin. The power, it keeps the internal moisture of the body intact as we age, essential for eye, gut, and skin health. The edge, highly specialized, amazing for external youth, but less impactful on brain longevity. 18. Mushrooms, lion's mane and reishi. Why number 18? Focuses on immune senescence, the aging of the immune system. The power, reishi trains the immune system to stay vigilant against cancer cells, while lion's mane supports nerve growth factor. The edge, powerful functional foods, though they act more as stabilizers than age reversers. 19. Flaxseed, the lignin shield. Why number 19? The best plant source for hormone-balancing lignans. The power, it helps manage the hormonal shifts of aging, menopause/andropause, that can accelerate bone loss and skin thinning. The edge, a great foundational food, but lacks the high-intensity cellular signaling of the top-ranked adaptogens. 20. Spinach and leafy greens, the folate anchor. Why number 20? Provides the raw materials, specifically folate, for DNA methylation. The power, DNA methylation is the volume knob for your genes. Folate helps keep the bad genes quiet and the good ones loud. The edge, ranked number 20 because it is a requirement rather than a boost. You need these for basic survival. The other 19 plants are what take you from surviving to staying young.